come in, do Space Coast Daily in the Friday Night Locker Room. Join with me, Steve Wilson, Orville Susan. I'm your host, Zach Clark. Guys, it's our favorite part of the show where we got the top five. We had an upset last week, maybe a change in the top five. We'll start off with Orville.
Well, we talked the last 2 or 3 weeks, and Steve and I have laughed about it, about not being able to move a lot of people around in the top five just because none of the top five were playing each other.
Yeah.
And we finally had that happen this week. And depending on who you are and how you look at it, whether it was an upset or not, as far as Steve and I goes, I think it was an upset because last week we both picked Palm Bay to win.
Yeah.
So, it changes my top five a little bit. He's a little bit smarter than me, so I don't know if
a little bit.
Well, he's a lot smarter than me, so I don't know that his will change. But I take the Palm Bay Pirates and I move them from my number 3 spot last week down to number 5, and I take the Merritt Island Mustangs, who beat Palm Bay, and I moved them up to number 4. And the Vieira Hawks I had at 4 last week. I moved them up to number 3 because they beat Merritt Island. So Heritage Panthers, they become the district champs. They beat Jensen Beach last week 27-12, and the Cocoa Tigers, with a big win over Astronaut, are the district champs and also my number 1. So I got Cocoa at 1, Heritage at 2, Vieira at 3, Merritt Island at 4, and Palm Bay at number 5.
What do you think about his top five, Steve?
Honestly, first of all, happy Halloween to everyone. Orville's celebrating by wearing his Halloween mask. He's getting in the spirit early.
Thank you.
But he's got the right teams. I don't know that he has them in the right order, but he has the right teams. I have the Palm Bay Pirates checking in at number 5. Look at the 4 teams ahead of them. And here again, on any given night, the Pirates are tough, but I like them at number 5. Where it gets interesting for me is Vieira and Merritt Island. I'm going to have the Hawks drop down to number 4. And I hesitate doing that because they didn't play last week.
Yeah.
And I know my buddy sitting to my right is going to say, yeah, they've already beaten Merritt Island. How could you put them ahead of them? But what I'm looking at right now, who is the best team right now? When any 2 teams line up, who's playing the best right now? The Mustangs have outscored their last 4 opponents 143-41. Now, granted, they haven't played the top teams in the state of Florida, but they've played some pretty good teams, and most of those points came against Palm Bay. The Hawks, the last time we saw them was 2 weeks ago against Martin County. They traveled, they won the football game, they did some things well, but they looked a little tired to me at that point, which all teams are going to go through that. But I think if you line them up, the last time we saw them, I like the Mustangs checking in at 3, the Hawks slipping into number 4. Number 2 is the Panthers, Heritage Panthers. It's interesting. I talked to one of the Cocoa coaches recently, and he said, man, I wish we could play Heritage. I said, yeah, a lot of people wish you would too, because we'd love to see that game. But the Panthers do it all. They're the district champions. They seem to have a different hero on both sides of the ball every week. But I like a Heritage at number 2. Cocoa Tigers are the best team in the county. They're the hardest hitting team that I've seen. They score points. They do it all. They're primed to make a run deep into the playoffs. I like Cocoa at number 1. So we have the same teams, maybe just a little out of order.
Orville, what's your take on his?
Well, he makes a good point, and like I said, the Vieira Hawks beat Merritt Island Mustangs, but yes, that was earlier in the year, and that was off after a couple things happened. They went to Texas and learned a little bit about football out there, and they played the Cocoa Tigers and put 42 points on the Cocoa Tigers, which a lot of people have not done, and I don't think Merritt Island would do that, and that's why I have them up there a little bit higher. You could flip-flop it around. Like Steve said, any given night, Vieira would beat Merritt Island, and next morning, Merritt Island would beat Vieira. Throw in Palm Bay, and you have a heck of a mix, but I like my top 5 speak for itself.
Yeah, if I was like Orville, I would have said top 3 and another top 3, and he'd had them right even down the plane. You got to pick somebody. They're both good football programs. Yeah. Jeff McLean does an incredible job at Merritt Island. Kevin Mays and what he's done at Vieira since he's taken over. If they win the game Friday night, and I think they will, you're talking about back-to-back district champions. Pretty impressive what they've done. So 2 great football teams. You got to pick somebody higher than the other. Best case scenario, as far as they're concerned, is this means nothing. We have fun with it, have a good time. They say, yeah, I'm better than him. But we have a good time with it. But line them up head to head. the Mustangs are tough.
This is the first show this year where you guys only gave your top 5. No extra teams. So
Well,
I want to applaud you guys just for that.
Well,
that's
he's-
worth an applause.
He started that a couple, a year or two ago, with the top 5
Yeah.
and 3 honorable mentions and all of that. And I kept throwing mine in there just to upset him. And then I realized, why would I lower myself down to his standard? So I'm right back to exactly what it's called, the top 5. Unfortunately for him, his top 5 are wrong, but it's still, he does have a top 5.
Hey, wait till basketball season rolls
Oh,
around.
gee, no,
I'm
come
gonna
on.
have a top 12 this year. I've been looking recently. There's some really good basketball teams in the county this year. There can't be a top 5 in basketball.
And I tell you what, and this is no, we're running into basketball coaches at every football game now on the sidelines, and they're all wanting the Friday night locker room to come. We even got free parking last week in one place, so if we would do the basketball game when it's time. So these coaches love being on the radio. They love for their kids to get the experience in basketball and every sport. But the basketball coaches are, we had Mike Sullivan sit in with us at Cocoa High School. He's the head coach of the Melbourne Bulldogs. He can't wait for basketball season to start, and he can't wait for the Friday night locker room to come down and do his game. So we have fun all the time. It's just a wonderful thing.
Yep.